All right, what's going on, Gerard?
Not much, Justin. Just another day.
I need to stop doing that thing at the beginning of all of them. I'm like, all right, yeah, okay. So yeah, okay. It's just another day. How's your Zac Efron thing coming along?
He's coming along now. Are
you beyond the foot yet?
Yeah, I'm beyond the foot.
Yeah,
no, the whole
like the heel or something.
We were talking about the other day on your podcast about the whole like high detail, low detail thing.
Were we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were. And you said that they mesh them together.
It's like a 3D. It's like a 3D picture on the low detail one.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I'm doing now. Is I'm kind of preparing the low detail one to be able to put the high detail one onto it.
Okay. Do you already have the high detail one, or do you have to make that one?
Oh no, both are made. It's just both are made.
Waiting to do.
Both are made. The low detail one needs to go through a process called UV mapping.
Yeah.
Which is kind of it's taking a 3D model and kind of cutting it into little pieces like a puzzle, and then flattening all those pieces out onto a map.
Yeah.
And those 3D puzzle pieces are what you put textures and colors on and stuff. So without that map of the 3D object laid out for you like that, you wouldn't be able to. Well, you would be able to put textures on it, just wouldn't like look right. It would look like really weird.
My microphone has joined us now.
Okay.
But yeah, no, sounds pretty cool. Sounds pretty freaking cool. Okay, I was just about to ask you something, and I don't remember what I was about to ask you. So shit. What are we talking about?
Something to do with our topic?
Oh yes, our wonderful topic. Gerard, how annoyed do you get in traffic?
Not very annoyed, but that's because I'm an easygoing person by nature.
Audience, how annoyed do you get by traffic? Okay, so because Gerard gave the wrong answer, I get pretty irritated, agitated while I'm in traffic.
Well, I also don't drive that often, so that's a part of it.
That's true, and you live in Florida, which might not be as bad as the Pennsylvania.
Oh no, Florida,
maybe.
Florida, like waiting in traffic is really bad. But I'm never in a vehicle here, so it's cool.
Right. And you're never, especially driving that vehicle.
Yeah.
You're in it. You're in like an Uber or something. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about some traffic-y stuff. I don't know if you have anywhere you want to start.
Trafiki from The Lion King.
Yeah.
Not actually his name.
But yeah, so I don't know if you have anywhere you want to start. I wrote down a bunch of stuff, and now I'm starting to realize I don't really know where to start. But
no, just that I realized that I'm a very, very odd human being. Maybe it's just because of my situation that I don't get upset as easily with other people on the road as many other people do. Like it might be because I just don't drive a lot.
Maybe it's because when you're home you have that like huge ass truck that you drive around. Which for anybody watching this, I know Gerard does not exactly look like the big truck guy, but he actually is. It's kind of hilarious.
And for the record, the truck isn't like, it's not like a big one.
It's a pretty big truck. It's not like some like
a lot of dealerships
up, like monster like.
Well, like a lot of the models that have been coming out over the past like 5 years have been like really heavy duty trucks. Like people have been pushing that giant square shape for all the trucks now. Well, because mine's like early 2000s, it still has that like round kind of sporty look to it, sorta. And I mean, it's big, but I'd say it's a medium truck. It's not a small one. It's not a big one.
Yeah. Okay. We'll call it a medium truck, but it's a relatively large truck. It's not like one of those low riders or like this tall.
Yeah.
And it's not like one of those trucks that your voice just automatically gets deeper when you drive it type of things. It's just a truck in every sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think part of the reason you get mad? Do you ever do that thing that everybody I know with a Jeep or truck does, where you're just kind of like less cautious about the way you drive because you're like, well, if I get in an accident, it's going to do more damage to them than it is to me.
No, because I'm an incredibly cautious driver. I don't
Well,
actually.
yeah, that's true. You
Yeah,
are.
I don't
But
trust myself a lot to make rigorous decisions while I'm driving.
yes. Yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
probably shouldn't. But nobody should trust themselves to do
Yeah,
that.
well,
Or like, or you
people.
just shouldn't do it. There
Mhm.
are a lot of things that people do that piss me and everyone off all the time while
A
they're on
lot
the
of
road.
a lot of things people do, they do successfully without hitting anyone, but it's like by the skin of their teeth.
Yes.
And basically everyone on the planet that has happened to multiple times, and it's amazing to me
Yes. I've had.
how so many people have done like risky things while driving, and they've come through without a scratch. I mean, there are a lot of
Yes.
accidents that happen
And
every single day, but
yes. Yes. I
it's great.
realized that. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like drivers, at least around here, are just getting worse. Like by the day. I don't know if that's because winter is coming along or what, but I've had my current car for almost 2 years now, I think, or like a year and a half. And actually, just a couple of weeks ago, I had to use my horn for the first time. Like, actually use my horn. I was telling my father about that when I got home that night. I was like, I actually had to use it. Someone was driving so bad. And on my way back to school this past, actually, it wasn't weekend. I went to hockey on Tuesday night. And then
Mhm.
on my, no, I don't remember when the fuck it was, but I was on my way to school and I had to use my horn again because the same person almost hit me twice in like the same 5 minutes, and I was like, "What is this? This guy didn't know what they were doing." And they came to this
Under
light.
the influence.
Yeah, well, I don't think it was that. I think it was just someone that was old
Bad driver.
and didn't know where they were
Well,
going
yeah,
because, okay, because like where I was coming, there's like, you're going down a road.
Yep.
And I'm turning left, and there's two left lanes. Okay, so
Mhm.
I was in the right left turn lane, and he was in the left
Yeah, so
left.
not the one all the way over, but
Yes,
the one next to it.
yes, like the middle lane, and this dude was in the left turn lane. But the thing was, I had to turn this way and then keep going straight. And then if you're listening to this on audio only, you're gonna get really lost because you can't see my hands. But I had to turn and keep going straight, and this guy had to get. Not only did he have to be in my lane, and he tried to cut in front of me while I was literally right next to him, he had to get in the lane next to that because there was an on ramp right here that he was trying to get onto. So
So he was multiple lanes over
yes, he
and
was
chose
trying.
an incredibly bad time to
So
figure that out
he
and
needed
get
to
to
be in
his
the
lane.
far right lane, and
Yeah,
for some
and he was
reason thought it would
not
be a
there.
good idea to be in the far left lane when he got there. And then he was not checking his mirrors or anything either.
And
It was just
decided
like
to
turn
fix it
signal on.
right when you were coming.
Yes. Well, yeah, because I was in his way, so I had to like stop, and then so he could like get over. And I
Yeah,
didn't honk at him yet. I was like, that's not enough to make me go yet. But then the thing was, there were these cars, flying by me on the right side, and he still tried to get over it. He's just sitting in front of me, and the light is green, and that's when I was finally like, dude, you got
yo,
like,
like honk, honk, let's go.
yeah, because okay, so that's gonna bring me to one of the first points I'm gonna make that I didn't even write down, but like people I don't know if you do this or I know I don't do this, but like when you get that situation, like I get that sometimes you just fuck up. I get that sometimes you're just in the wrong lane. Something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, we all do it.
You've got to learn to go with like what's legal or like go with what lane you're in and then pull over somewhere, like reorient yourself and then figure out where to go. Don't
That's
just
true.
like don't just be like that guy that's like, oh shit, I'm 6 lanes over too far. Let me
Yeah,
just like
let's
turn
do it now.
sideways, like
Yeah.
straight across, or like I just passed the exit I need to get off. Let me just like throw it in reverse and like you can't do that in the middle of the highway, and people
Yeah.
do, and people just go every which way, and it's like if you screwed up and you got in the wrong lane, if you got in the left lane and you need to go straight, just turn left, get off the road, turn around, and fix it. Don't just
Yeah.
like
Take a breather
swing
for a
like
minute
into
and
the
then
road
figure
and
out
then
what you
swing
want to do.
back out. And oh my good lord, I've done that. I do that a lot actually. I'm horrible with like location. Basically, like my internal compass is just not good
Oh
at
yeah,
all.
mine's not that good either.
So I use my GPS to get like everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But that's that. So I'm gonna use that as a segue into one of these. I have two unknown traffic laws, and both of them just kind of came up. Both of them did just come up while I was telling that story. So that's a nice transition. First of all, it is illegal, as far as I understand, depending on your state, to switch lanes while you're in an intersection. And I see that happening all the time.
That happens a lot.
And people need to stop doing that because it's dangerous. That's why it's illegal in the first place. And because there's no good reason to do it. Like, I don't get why a person that's switching lanes feels the need to switch the lanes while they're, like, under the traffic light or in an intersection. And you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, maybe it's like, I don't know. That is really strange.
So that.
Well,
go ahead.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like any other time that would be better, because if you don't.
Well, while you're on the road.
Yeah, no, I get if you're on the road, but like, you know, what if where you need to be is very, very soon after your intersection?
In theory, already be in that lane.
Yeah, I understand that.
But like I said, I get that sometimes you just don't know where you're going, or you're in an unfamiliar territory. You don't know which lanes are which because the lines on the road are faded and the signs are knocked over or whatever. But just don't be like switching, especially when you're just doing it to try to pass someone or something. Like, don't do it underneath the light. Like,
that annoys me a lot. That does annoy me when someone like passes you out and then they turn like in another like mile or two.
Yeah.
Like, what was
like,
the point?
Like, someone like is trying to pull, like you're just cruising down the road, someone tries to pull out and they cut you off and then they turn in like 3 feet later. It's like you literally could have walked there. But instead you're out here like trying to cause accidents instead of just getting off your ass. But yeah, so that's one of them. That brings me into the thing I was talking to you a little bit about before we started recording with the dotted line, solid line, or dashed line, solid line, whatever you call it. Because you know, when you're driving in a 2-lane or 4-lane highway, depending on if you call it by your side or by the whole. But if you're driving with multiple lanes and there is a dashed line down between you, that the part that everybody knows is that means you can switch lanes.
Yes.
You're allowed to go over dotted lines if safe conditions exist.
Yeah.
So you know, you can confirm if this is the same in Florida. I would assume it has to be. I've only ever driven in Pennsylvania, but when you come up on an intersection, the lines turn into solid lines at the intersection.
Meaning you cannot pass.
With the arrows that show you which lane is which, but they go from dotted to solid, which yes means that you're not supposed to cross over those lines while you're in those sections. I also see construction zones sometimes that are 2 lanes and they'll just make one solid line right down the middle, and people don't get that implies that you're not supposed
to cross
over the line. And
yeah, that's right.
So that's one of my big pet peeves while I'm driving.
In Florida, it's a little different. At intersections, a lot of them don't turn to solid lines. Some of them do, not a lot of them. A lot of them in like larger areas that I've noticed.
Yeah.
A lot of them do seem to be dotted, and they use a lot of reflectors actually. If you look on the ground, you'll see a lot of like reflectors. So at night they'll light up when you hit your lights on them. But I'm pretty sure there are a couple different colors, but I don't exactly know what each means.
Right. Okay. That's weird. I don't drive in Florida, so I can't.
Yeah, and I
really rebut.
Sadly, I cannot decipher them.
But yes, that's the dotted line, dash line thing, and you'll also notice here, at least, like too. I know this doesn't happen everywhere, so there is like an exception. Sometimes, like pretty much the only time I'm intentionally always going to cross over a solid line is you know where I live. But when I get to my house, I live right on the highway. So when I get there, I like have to.
Yeah, if you're coming from Tunkhannock to your house,
yeah,
you gotta cross it.
Yeah, exactly. So like there's that. Like if you live right there, I guess that's okay. But you'll also notice when there's an actual turn, like anywhere. Maybe people just haven't even noticed this too. But like if there's an opportunity to turn onto a different road, the double solid yellow line turns into a dashed line for like a few feet. That indicates where you're actually supposed to turn into that road at. So the dash dotted line thing does exist.
Yeah.
And it does exist for a reason. And then of course there's the one side dashed, one side solid, which I hope most people understand how that works.
Yeah, that means one
And
side can cross, the other can't.
yes. And exactly. And vice versa. And then there's sometimes a single dashed line right down the middle, which means you can pass. Granted, there's nobody coming the other way. But all of that is how that works. So people out there driving, I know damn well that you're not going to fix it, because if you're the type of person that doesn't already do this, you're just a lazy son of a bitch that is just very ignorant of laws, and you're the worst kind of human being. But if you're not, if you're interested in not annoying people, start following the laws of the road. The other one I wanted to talk about was I'm not sure if this one is more frowned upon or if it's actually against the law. And again, it probably depends on the state, so on and so forth. We just read that bizarre law thing, which we'll get more into in a second, where you can't honk the horn of someone else's car in, where did I say that was, Missouri, something like that.
Wait, you can't honk the horn of someone else's car?
Yes.
So
I don't know. I'll find it again later when we do that. But the way I understand it and the way that I do it is you're not really supposed to honk your horn ever unless there's imminent danger. Yes.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to just honk your horn. So, like, if you're one of those people that just honks the horn at the guy in front of you, like, a fraction of a second after the light turned green because you're frustrated and you're impatient and
that
because
does happen to me once in a while.
you're an awful person, like, I think in some senses, or not senses, in some situations, that's actually against the law. It's not like you're ever going to get a really heavy penalty for doing it, but point being, you're not supposed to honk your horn because you're pissed off. You're supposed to use your horn when there's actually danger. So that's why I kind of presented that the way earlier when I said I actually had to use my horn for the first time not too long ago, was because I've actually had situations lately where I thought there was going to be an accident, and there, in this case,
if you did not bring attention.
In this case, a couple days ago, there probably would have been had I not blasted my horn. My horn sounds awful too, so that just makes me not want to honk it. But but yeah, like the other thing too that I know is very common where we grew up and probably just about anywhere, or at least in small cities, just to like honk your horn when you see someone that you know, just like on the side of the road or something.
Yeah,
it's like hey, and it's like who honks?
But it's not it's a
yeah. I don't understand. I've started to notice
there is a honking language.
I've been turning into my dad, but for some reason my dad honks the horn. He doesn't like do it with his palm like a normal person was, but he like punches the horn and just does it really quickly when he sees people who speak.
No, I don't know what I do. It's not punching it.
When I'm like pissed and actually sensing danger, I've noticed I punch it. But actually, otherwise, if I ever were to do it, I'm not a saint when it comes to this honking law either. Like I'm guilty of honking at people for
a lot of people are. Yeah, that's the majority of people.
But I think I actually just use my thumb. Like I just reach over to where like the little horn icon is.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Like a civilized human being.
Thumbs, it's on both sides. It's not in the middle.
I don't honk like the Hulk. Like my fist doesn't turn green and go like through the steering wheel when I honk. But
if it did, the airbag would go off.
But what if I just puncture the airbag? What if I just go straight through it like
That'd be cool.
My fist gets like stuck in like the engine of my car. I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah, and then you start like spinning around.
You start doing that thing you do when you're like playing like Mario Kart as a little kid, and you think that turning with the controller is somehow going to help you when you play.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever do that? I used to do that all the freaking time. So you're sitting there in front of the TV, like, oh.
Yeah, you're like this.
Or with like your DS.
Oh yeah.
Why do we do that? That's weird. But yes, those are my two.
I don't know, man. But once or twice when I was on my DS and like really, really into a game, and like I'd be walking with my parents in like the mall or something. Once or twice I like hit a sign that was. It was one of those like like you know like say like I don't know, JCPenney's or wherever.
Yeah. just somewhere.
But there would be like those island counters with
Yeah.
like ladies selling like, I don't know, perfumes and
Yeah.
stuff like that, whatever.
Yeah, now they're just like cell phone kiosks, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in those stores, the one was like a sign that was higher than me, but the where my chest was, like
Yeah.
chest down, it was open and it was just two bars on both sides. But then it connected to where around where my head was, and that's where the actual sign was. And I was playing like Pokemon or something.
Like,
I was playing Pokemon or
clotheslined
something, and
by
I
the
was just
side.
like following my parents, and I just bam, like hit my head against it. And my parents like they just were cracking up
They didn't
laughing.
do anything.
No, they thought it was
They
hilarious.
probably like watched you, like they knew it was about to happen. And
Yeah.
your dad was probably just like, shh, watch this. Poof.
Yeah. But okay, back to driving.
That's hilarious.
Mhm.
It's awesome. I have witnessed once or twice like people like full force running into poles, and it's so scary and fun
Yeah,
at the same time. It's oh man, I think I saw one that was real bad. I might have told you about this the other week when I was in that after school program we used to have back in like 5th grade. We had a recess like time during that after school activities, and we were playing kickball like on the basketball court that we had
Mhm.
behind our middle school, and
Yeah, right.
this kid was running after a just like a pop fly, and he had his arms out, he's looking at the ball, and he's running like full speed ahead and just gets blindsided by the fucking basketball pole. And, I mean, this was a big kid too. Like there's a lot of force that was going into that thing. And that was so like I thought he knocked himself out.
What
At
program
the
was
very
it? Do you remember?
It was ASAP. They quit it after we were in 5th grade. It was I forget how you really got into it because I just kind of like started doing it. It was kind of like it was really fun actually because it was like the ultimate goal of it was for kids that were lazy to like actually get their homework done
Oh,
and
okay.
actually get involved in things. Because what it was that we'd get out at like 3, we'd
Mhm.
go,
Yeah, right.
they'd have like a recess and for like 45 minutes to an hour or something, just for the kids to like get all their energy out and just
yeah.
kind of get
Which
refreshed.
is a good
And then
thing.
it was split into thirds. So it was like the first third was that recess. I don't know why I keep saying research. Recess. And then it was they gave us the planners. In middle school they were like the actual like big planners,
They
not
were
like
huge.
and we were obligated to write down our homework in the planner first of all, and then they had like tutors that would go over what we had in our planner and they'd make sure we brought out the homework and did the homework we were supposed to do, and we do that for a third of it. And then there was like clubs for the back third. I was in like a sign language club and like a chess club.
Oh, that's cool. I don't think I ever did that.
On the days off of the week. Yeah, I don't remember who did that. I did that because a couple of my friends did. I did it with like Casey and Joe Nally and all those other kids that we just like forgot existed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. It was fun, and then they got rid of it, and it was helpful. It did make me. When I was that age, I was like not a good student, and like not
okay. Yeah.
not
So it
really
helped
have
you. Yeah.
motivation to do my homework. So it was like getting my homework done. And
Yeah,
then
it
by the
did
time I
its
hit
job.
high school, I don't really know what happened to me, but like 11th grade year, I just like straightened the fuck out and started getting
okay.
real good grades. Like my 10th grade, like if it was on like a line graph and you looked at like my 10th grade
Yeah, it would
report
like shoot up.
versus my 11th grade report card, it would have like from like 5th grade it would have been like yeah, and then like 11th grade it was just like whoa, and then yeah, it's really cool. So traffic, that's what we were talking about, and then we started talking about kids running into basketball poles. What else? What else do we have to go from here? Do you want to start talking about Elon Musk type shenanigans?
Hey,
So
yeah, we
cool
could talk
stuff.
about that a
Okay,
little bit.
well, now let me start. I want to start right here. Let me cross off what we already talked about. We talked about these two things. We talked about. That's pretty much it. Okay, so what is traffic? I want to see how you answer this question because I want it from a mind that hasn't already been shaped and hasn't already watched a bunch of podcasts on this. But at what point does traffic become like traffic, as in like congested not a good thing type of traffic, as opposed to just cars like driving down a road versus like
Mm-hmm.
at what point
Because
become a problem?
when does it become a problem?
Yes.
um, Problem in the sense that it's dangerous.
Problem just in the sense that it slows you down, you're late to work, you're sitting on I-81 for 6 hours straight, that kind of thing.
Uh,
Like, when did it become inefficient?
oh man.
Or at what point? Like, what causes traffic?
Yeah.
So here's my,
Well, first of all, accidents in the road,
yes. Wolf, yes. Absolutely.
construction.
Yes.
Uh,
Just dumbasses. Like,
yeah, yeah.
they can do. Okay, so
Uh,
if we really break it apart, so those are, causes of traffic.
oh, and of course, huge swells, like during times when people get out, like say
Yes.
5 o'clock when they get out from work,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yes. So those are causes of traffic that definitely happen. And breaking it down to a simplest form, what I'd say is basically traffic happens when a person that's in front of other people stops, and then the next person behind them has to stop, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And then what kind of happens when you think just like logically about what traffic is that by the time, so say just a red light in general causes traffic because a person has to stop, and then the person behind them has to stop, and then the person behind them has to stop, and
It's a big domino effect.
it kind of causes this like wave or like bubble that goes backwards, and then what happens, is the light turns green, the first person starts going, but as the first person starts going, you still have people like back here trying to stop because it's like that it takes everybody some time to get going again, so on and so forth. So basically, just the act of braking as the person in front is what causes traffic. And of course, the reason you'd brake is a red light, a
Yeah,
construction.
braking for long periods of time, I guess.
Yeah, not even long periods of time because it has that like bubble effect to it, where it's like when someone brakes, like just I picture like this bubble shooting out of their car, like this anti-traffic bubble, and it starts moving backwards, and then it traps the next person in that bubble, and then the next person, and then the next.
Oh.
But then as it's going back, it's also releasing the people in front of it. So it's like, you know what I mean?
That's kind of neat. That's
It's
an
kind of
interesting.
it's kind of wave-like. It's like
Yeah.
a traffic shock wave.
Yeah, it is.
It surges back through the traffic.
And you could
then,
probably like if we like went up into a helicopter and watched traffic, we'd probably see that. Like that would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be cool because it would be like because if you're watching like steady flowing traffic, the cars would be like decently spaced apart, and then they'd kind of like compress and then open up again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that would be cool to watch. Like go up in a helicopter
Mhm.
and see that. But yeah, so that's kind of how traffic happens. And I was about to segue that into something, but that's basically how it works. And another thing that I wanted to bring up while we're talking about this is how that actually started happening in the first place, and all this congestion and stuff like that is, I guess, like way back in the day. Of course, there weren't cars. Back at a certain time, cars have not always existed, and
That's right.
basically, or not even that, but there was also a time when it was just perfectly normal and efficient for people to walk wherever they needed to go. And
Yeah, and like for a time, like bicycles were huge, especially in Europe. And
well, another thing that was huge was streetcars for a while, and they actually worked very well because 12, 13, 14, 15 people would get on the same streetcar, they'd all go where they need to go, and there wasn't a whole lot of traffic on the road because there was just like one streetcar in your community or something like that.
so like a trolley.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I guess it's kind of similar to how a bus works. It's just they weren't as big. But there was streetcars, and that's how people got around if they had to go beyond walking distance. They'd get in a streetcar, it'd stop certain places, they'd get on, they'd get off. And traffic wasn't really a problem because it was just that streetcar running everywhere. And then what started happening eventually was that cars came into being a thing, and it kind of became a capitalism type of issue because someone made a car, and people, first of all, I remember seeing somewhere that it was extremely dangerous when cars started coming about because, like I said, it was perfectly normal for people to just be like walking around in the
Yeah, so
streets
most people
because
still didn't have a car per household or anything.
right,
Most people
right.
still walked.
They were just walking like throughout the streets, and like the one jackass with a car would like come like down
Plow them over.
and
Oh
be
wow.
like,
Yeah,
and that kind of thing. But
I didn't think about that.
fast forwarding, basically what happened was that car company started making cars. They realized they could make a lot of money doing this, so we started getting this. They started just kind of brainwashing everybody into thinking you need a car, and it's definitely worked. If you are alive today, you pretty much think you need
Well,
a car, and that's
all
it.
right. Cars are fantastic things, but we both know multiple people who use cars. Well, not them in this case. What I'm about to say is just like random friends and
Yeah.
students we know
Okay.
who just like use cars in a not smart manner.
Oh, well,
Like
they're just reckless drivers, you
no,
mean?
or like if you like say you're going back to school for the year or something.
Yeah.
Like if you think about your daily activities, if you don't have to go like far out of your way,
Oh, yeah.
just not like get a car
Just
or something.
don't go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I
but
feel that.
people need to drop lots of money on getting a car. Like for me,
Yeah.
I had to consider whether I wanted to get a car for down here or not. And I thought about it, and a lot of my friends have cars, but my apartment is right across the street from the school. I only need to get groceries like once a month because that's what I do. I just like stock up and then I'm
Right.
good for a month. And then after the month, I go again. So really, like my normal day is just between here and the school for the most part. So I don't need a car. Like, why would I drop multiple thousands of dollars on a
Yeah.
car that I'm not even going to need?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. That's kind of what started happening is not only this idea that we need cars, because I could make an argument that we need cars, and we had those street cars at one point in time way back when, and they worked fine. But what happened basically was that people used to travel around in groups of 12 to 20 people in the same car, not taking up a lot of room on the road. And then these car companies started selling cars, and they started, as a marketing tactic, telling us, they started just kind of pushing this idea into society that everyone needs their own car because it's going to make it easier to go where you need to go, or whatever reason. Like, if you ask someone why they need a car, they probably can't give you a very good answer other than, oh, I just need to get places. And it's like,
Well, if your job's far away, like
But,
I don't know. Now,
yeah, and
now you do oftentimes need a car because oftentimes your job is rather far away.
yeah,
There are a lot of situations where you might need a car or two per household.
and I think, and yeah,
Back
well,
then it was a little different.
yeah, and that also goes like geographically, like more in rural areas, like where we live in our hometown, not where you are right now, but your job will be farther away because it's like we don't really live near anything. I know people that live in New York City still oftentimes don't have cars because
Yeah,
they have jobs
everything
close
is
to them.
just that close.
Yeah,
Like
and
food's that close.
yeah,
Their job's that
because
close.
there's just everything everywhere, and so they have that kind of thing. So it's a geographical thing. But basically, what happened over time was that we started pushing that idea, like everybody needs their own car, and eventually, what used to be one streetcar with 12 people in it, just getting where they need to be, turned into 12 separate cars, taking up all the space on the highway. And when you think about it, and you just keep multiplying that out, like if you had 12 streetcars in a state, let's say, and each of them carried 12 people at a time. Okay, those numbers are fairly conservative for this example, and even so, you take all them out and give them their own car. Here's how it works nowadays. That's going to be 144 cars on the road instead of 12. So
Yeah,
that's insane, and that's kind of where traffic started. And then
and then obviously multiply it on a larger scale.
roads had to be bigger and take up, and it just kind of turned into a big, huge mess from there. Because there are a lot of cars on the road now. It's almost insane to think about.
Well, especially here. Like the
Yeah.
only time I see a little bit of cars on the road is like Sunday, not even Sunday morning, like
Sunday
early,
at
like early
6 in the
Sunday
morning.
morning. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
when there's no cars around.
Yeah. Seriously, it's gotten out of control. And there's also the whole we could go on forever about this. There's the whole like a car buying experience. You'll see someone talk about why that is still so weird, and that also just has to do with the original car companies just trying to kind of capitalize on what they came up with, and why the car buying process is still so freaking hard and does not work the same way that literally any other business does, where you go in and you have to like haggle the price and you have to get this, and this,
Hmm.
and people have talked about why can't car buying just be like my food shopping, where I just like go into this huge store with a bunch of cars on the shelves, pick one, they
Like,
say,
oh hey, I
give
want
me
that one.
$30,000, and you just do, and then there's your car.
Car's yours.
But it's never that easy. And they do that on purpose. They do that to make it hard. They do that so that you get confused and don't know what you're doing, and in the end up paying a lot more money than
Yeah.
really necessary to get a car. So that's that. Uh, we could probably go on about that forever in a different episode. But moving on.
And we probably will, but that's okay.
Yeah, we probably will. We need ideas, so we'll keep writing. keep kind of try to keep track of that. But so I guess the next question would be, what are solutions to the traffic problem? Because as an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur or whatever, a entrepreneur, whatever you want to call me, I do like to focus on solutions to problems as opposed to doing what we were just doing and talking about the problem until it fixes itself. So what would be a solution to this traffic issue? I'm sure you could come up with a couple,
Well,
but we'll see.
there is I'm not saying exactly Uber, but maybe a version of Uber
Right.
that might be similar to those
The
those
street
large
cars.
like street cars that you talked about earlier. But I've also noticed that more people are using Ubers nowadays instead of driving their cars as often.
Yeah.
We were going to talk about like smart cars and stuff a little bit before.
Yeah.
But anyway, like so
Well, yeah, that's a part of it. I was going to start getting into the Elon Musk type of thinking. That dude is awesome. I love listening to him
yeah,
talk.
he's
So I'm pretty
nuts.
sure I've said that before on the podcast. But yeah, one of his solution to traffic that he's trying to do, if anyone is familiar with what he does and the Boring Company, he started a company now, and he's going to start making just digging tunnels. Basically, he's already started doing in LA, and it's going to put cars on a third dimension, because that's another thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Traffic is still two-dimensional. Okay, you have this way and you have this way. We don't have this way. We do to an extent. You have like ramps and stuff, and like bridges kind of go over each other, but it's not entirely three-dimensional. You can't really go up and down with driving. So that's why Elon Musk is building these tunnels with the Boring Company, because he thinks it'll decongest traffic if we have multiple stories to drive on. And he compares it to what we've done with buildings over time. After a certain amount of
People built
time
up.
just being in buildings and realizing we need more space or whatever, you go to a big city, buildings are 2 million feet high.
Yeah.
And, we built up. So he said, why can't we do the same thing with traffic? Well, that's what he's doing. And there's some cool pictures of it on the internet, I think, if you look up like the tunnels he's doing of just cars. Like, it looks like I'm trying to think of what it looks like. Some like movie or video game I've played. But it's just like all these walls around you of like cars, and it almost
Oh,
looks like they're on display, and it's really cool.
interesting. I
Watch
will have to look that up.
going up and down.
And this is in LA, right?
That's where he has started it.
Okay,
So
well
far,
that's
yeah,
where
sure.
that's where it's needed.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's also where Elon spends the good majority of his time. Obviously, you get to be like that famous and stuff. He travels a lot, and he doesn't really live in one specified location. But if he had to
That's his
pick
main
like a
stopping
hometown,
point.
it would be Los Angeles. And so he started doing that there. It's really funny listening to him talk about how he did it, because he just does stuff that's so wild. That's kind of his signature.
He does, yeah.
And he just wakes up one morning, has this idea, and he just does it, like no questions asked. And on that episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, we've talked about, where Joe Rogan was just asking him like what kind of permissions he had to get to just start digging holes in like in LA, and Elon Musk was just looking at him like confused, like, what do you mean permission? We
He's like,
just
"Well,
dug a hole.
He's like, there's nothing that's
You
been
could
done
just-
about this yet, so there's nothing on the books.
Yeah, you can just tell he doesn't overthink things. He's like, I want to make multi-level traffic, and then like the next day it's a thing.
Yeah,
Like,
he just does it.
he's like, I just filled out a paper and we dug a pit.
He does first, ask questions later, I
um,
guess.
Yeah, I mean, really, he doesn't overthink anything. But there's that. Now, when you talk to people, when I've talked to people about this, because I'm pretty interested in this topic about 3D traffic, everybody starts saying flying cars. Flying cars are coming. Flying cars are not. I don't think they are, and I don't think they ever will. And I'm just kind of making that as a bold statement so that I can be proven right or wrong later. But I don't know. What do you think about flying cars?
Well, if flying cars did become a thing, then they okay. They would probably not fly as high as airplanes.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Imagine
And
flying
if-
your car around and you just get
Yeah, I know.
T-boned by a freaking airplane.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Jesus.
Yeah, so they'd probably be, I'd say they'd probably be rather low, not low to the ground, but higher than the buildings, not super high. And they would probably, there would have to be some sort of, if they became on a large scale, there would have to be some sort of traffic rules that they
Control.
have as well. Yeah.
Yeah, then we're gonna have to get like flying traffic lights.
Yeah. Like in Back to the Future.
I haven't actually watched that, but I have seen like the scenes and stuff too for
Yeah, one
flying
of
cars.
the best series of all
But,
time, I'd say.
I know, scientifically speaking, I of course have listened to Elon Musk talk about this. I've listened to Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about this. I've listened to Elon Musk talk to Neil deGrasse Tyson about this. And it's very interesting. Both of them know way more about science than I do. Obviously, yes. And it's not. I'm not trying to be skeptical about flying cars. It's just what I've listened to, and according to the science, it's not that they can't happen per se.
It would be more trouble than they're worth.
Yes, it's one of two things. It's A, we already have flying cars. They're just called helicopters, or B, they're not really as glorious as an idea after you just get past like the coolness factor of a flying car. They'd actually, Elon Musk has talked about, like, I mean, you know how cars are in the first place, and your dad is a mechanic, and I'm sure even though he loves cars to no end, he still would agree that they're a real pain in the ass to deal with at times.
Yeah.
They break and all this stuff happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, Elon Musk has said that it would be extremely stressful if we started having flying cars right now, because
we'd have to work on like miniature planes as well as working on a car.
Yeah, like
if it
basically.
broke.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing. They'd have to be like super safe and high maintenance, and like he did get me
low
thinking.
Maintenance?
Well,
they would have to be low maintenance.
highly maintained.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, okay.
Yeah,
But,
that might be a problem too, is because only smart people would probably be able to use them, because otherwise, like, you wouldn't, like.
And even so, it's still just like something goes wrong, and when you add, if you like, a couple planes in the air, and every once in a while in the news you do see a plane go down or something, and it's tragic and it's scary, so on and so forth. But imagine putting millions of cars in the sky.
Yeah, that would happen all the time.
And people are way up in the air, and their battery dies. And
fall.
Even better yet, you're in 3 dimensions. Imagine you're this guy, and someone's driving or flying over you, and then their battery dies.
And they fall on you.
Come down into you, and then you go down to the next guy, and everybody's in the ground. And it's just this huge hot pile of dead car pilots.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary to think about. And even not like your battery dying, but like you're just flying around, and you're probably just thinking to yourself the whole time, like, Jesus, I hope the guy above me, got his tires checked. I hope the guy above me,
Yeah.
isn't gonna like
This,
lose
that.
a nut or a bolt or a screw or
That's a good point.
whatever, that kind of thing. And they're just not as glorious as they seem to be. They could
Yeah.
be extremely stressful in
Yeah,
that
you
sense.
really don't think of that stuff when you just say like,
Yeah.
"Oh, flying cars would be cool."
Yeah, people don't think about the practicality of flying cars. And the other example of that both of them have brought up in their sciencey brains is that just to make a car fly would, of course, require a lot of some
Powers.
sort of force being pushed down in
Yeah.
order
To keep
for
it up.
to go up. And that would result in a lot of energy being used, and it would result in a fuck ton of noise. Like a ton of noise.
Yeah,
If we had
I
flying
do
cars-
remember them saying that.
If flying cars were a thing, they would be as loud as helicopters. And can you imagine you're just like in your apartment right there where you are one night, and your neighbor
That's all
got
you'd hear.
on the hot new trend of flying cars, and like 2 o'clock
They
in the
gotta
morning,
go. Yeah, they gotta go somewhere early in the morning and
and you just hear a freaking helicopter like land on the roof of your apartment
start
building,
up their car, and
and
all of a
oh,
sudden you're cursing at them from your apartment below.
it'd be it'd be a mess. So it's like maybe flying cars are somewhere way down the line. Someone in my English class the other day we were talking about this actually, and they said some companies like got prototypes and stuff of flying cars, and I was like, I don't believe that. I just don't. And
I don't know. I wouldn't do flying cars. I just do like small, like 1 or 2 people planes that aren't like propeller planes like we have already. I mean, I don't know, a bit sleeker
I
and
don't know what
more advanced.
about it. And we do have an aviation program.
Yeah.
Well, I should talk to an aviation major about what they think about flying cars, because flying in and of itself, in one of the devices we already have that does it in a helicopter or a plane, is not an easy thing to do. Period.
Yeah.
Like it's all these controls. You got to keep track of your altitude. You got to keep
Yeah.
track of.
Planes are
You got to steer. You got to be an autopilot. You got to be
incredibly
all
detailed.
this stuff. I do know this one kid that's in a lot of my classes that's really into the planes, and his biggest problem is technobabble, which is the word I use when you just get those people that are so into something, they start talking about like the nitty gritty, like technical stuff of whatever they're into,
Yeah.
and it's really self-defeating because it's like, I don't know what you're talking about, and
That's what
damn well
that's what I
don't
try
know.
not to do when I talk about the techie art stuff that I do. I try to like make it incredibly simple
dumb
for
it
whoever
down.
I'm talking
Yeah,
to.
dumb stuff down, and everybody gets it.
Mhm.
And that's actually a really good way to go. And it's actually, I think, been shown sometimes just in my fun marketing world that just talking like a third grader will actually get you more recognition and more popularity and stuff than talking like a smart dude, because people understand what you're saying.
You
And
reach the
there's
majority of people that way.
yeah, there's no really like there's been not debate. There's been discussion that that's part of the reason Donald Trump won the election is because he doesn't talk like he's super sophisticated.
He can talk to the masses.
Yes,
Yeah.
he makes everything at a third grade level. People like to make fun of him for it and call him stupid for
Well,
it.
I mean, whether he does it intentionally or not's another thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that
you know,
too. But the fact of the matter is,
yeah,
people understand him. Everybody understands him. Smart people can understand dumb language. Dumb people can't understand smart language.
yeah.
So, like, if you're trying to appeal to everybody,
When you say build a wall, most people know what build a wall means.
yeah, yeah. But if you had like one of those like sophisticated like actual politicians, as we call them, though, it's like we need to construct a vertical mechanism to
Structure.
obstruct the path of the Latino cultures.
Yeah, like it's just too
like-
it's too long and
Yeah, and it's like
drawn
they're
out
trying
and you lose
too
people.
hard. Yeah, when people talk like that, we know a couple of people that talk like that. It's like, why are you
I do.
using
I'm
words?
guilty of that a lot, actually.
I do it sometimes. I don't do it as much as two specific people I won't name, but I can think of do. And it's just like, what? Use words that I know what they mean. Like, I don't like it when it's to the point where you know that they know they're just doing it to try to sound smart. And it's like, just use a normal word, please. Like, nobody thinks you're smarter because you used the word plethora. Like,
Guilty,
it's
but that's
just
okay.
so. I'm not saying it's good to have like a weak vocab. I'm just saying use the most understandable
Don't
version of
overuse
the
it.
word. Yeah. So what else can we talk about?
I just do it for fun. Like I just do it to be funny. Like I don't
Yeah. No,
I
yeah,
don't
I
really
know what you
care.
mean.
Yeah.
I am I have become like a word ninja.
There's a time and a place for it.
I've become very good at like if you don't know what else to say, fine. You know, if it is the word that you need,
Well,
that's
hey, you know what's cool is like, have you ever seen? Oh, you've probably talked to me about this before. I'm just forgetting. But those videos where they talk about old words that went in a style that no one uses anymore, but they actually describe situations a lot better than our modern words do.
I don't think I really have.
Yeah, they're like some old English words that you might come across once in a while, and they actually like describe a situation or something way better than the words we have now would.
That's cool.
Yeah, there weren't two like fun videos on it that you can watch.
Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. And then we got like the slang too. I remember actually my most popular post on my personal Instagram that I ever put up was that one of Will Smith saying that whatever it was about how it's sad that we live in a society that understands words like bay and turnt and
Oh,
lit and stuff like that, as opposed to words like ethics and morals and that
oh
kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
That like blew up, meaning like got like around 100 likes. But for me, that's a lot,
Well,
given that I have like 300
for
followers on
us,
that account.
yeah, for us, that's
Yeah, that's like a 33% engagement rate, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's what happened. Do we have anything else to talk about? I have more stuff, but I don't know. I don't know if we're getting timely or what's going on, or if you have time, because
we're getting a little timely. I do have a little bit of work to do.
I'm willing. Okay, so we've got. Oh, how about this? I'll wrap it up with this, I guess, because we
All
talked
right.
about solutions with traffic, so that's good. We talked about how traffic became. Yeah, so I really have one left. I was watching another thing the other day that talked about like how do you interpret the fact that people in America specifically, or at least in Pennsylvania, we actually like follow traffic laws pretty
Oh
well.
yeah. The people in
Like,
other countries don't.
yeah,
They just
yeah, I
don't.
want to talk about it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was weird to think about that. That was brought up in a video I was watching the other day, and I never really thought about it. But it just the fact that we follow our traffic laws does go to show that no matter how pessimistic you are about like our government and criminals and stuff like that, like everyone does have like some sort of respect
For the
for
rules.
the authority, something like that. I was listening to Ben Shapiro
And
talk
that's
about this
actually one of my pet peeves is when people like blatantly don't follow the rules, but that's a conversation for another
Yeah,
time.
yeah, that is a conversation. I don't see that a lot intentionally, especially. Well, unless
Yeah,
it's like
not
little
in,
rules,
yeah.
unless it's like people that don't use their turn signals.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably my biggest pet peeve with traffic, and
Yeah.
somehow we didn't even talk about that a lot
Well,
during
yeah,
the
we'll
episode.
say that for another
But
time
yeah,
for
I feel like
more content.
this is gonna have a part two
Yeah.
because
It definitely will. That's
there's
okay.
actually a lot to talk about with traffic, and we went off on a couple of tangents.
There is. But what were you
But
saying about Ben Shapiro or something? Did you say
yeah,
Ben
so
Shapiro was saying something?
yeah, he went down. I forget if it was just the southern U.S. or if it was Mexico, or because it was probably actually out of the country, but I can't really remember. But yeah, he was talking about somewhere he went and visited, and people in these other places just don't follow the traffic law. Like they just don't stop at red lights.
Yeah, like
Like
if
they
you stop, that's a bad thing. You got to
like
keep going.
like they genuinely just don't care and show up, and it's just crazy
The only way to
to think
survive is
about.
to join the madness.
Yeah, I guess if you can't beat them, join them. But
Well, that's how it sound like the way he was speaking about it because I remember listening to something like that a little bit too. And that's kind of like how I was deciphering it is he was basically saying like there's not much you can do but like do what they do.
yeah, yeah, because if they don't stop at red lights, then the red light doesn't mean anything, and the green light doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I guess you just kind of have to watch where you go. But it is crazy to think that in other places, there's actually just literally no respect for the law, like whatsoever, and that people are
Hmm.
just just blazing through red lights, and they're just, I don't even know what else. And just the fact that it's not really enforced and that there is the opportunity to do that in said places. But if you're ever starting to get like doubtful of American society and how we just do whatever we want, or we have criminals, or that people don't really have any respect, we do have some level of respect that we might just not realize, and that's embedded in traffic laws and the fact that
Yeah.
even criminals actually stop at red lights.
Yeah.
Like,
And they also get mad when people don't follow
Yes.
those rules. And
yes, and I mean, I have seen traffic or red lights run before, but I'm sure it was almost always an accident
yeah,
or
that's right.
unintentional.
And you and I have done it too. We're like,
Yeah,
oh
I've
no,
run-
like yeah.
I've run one or two red lights, like blatantly run one or two red lights where it wasn't like yellow about to be red, like it was
Almost.
just a
Mhm.
red light and I just went right through it. But like, there are places where people just don't care enough or don't have enough respect for their authorities to even try. So on that note, go America. I'm probably
Woo.
a bigot for saying that or something. But until next time, I don't care. I'm America first. I live here. Until next time, I'm Justin. That's Gerard. Our social stuff will be down in some form of description, as always. And if you made it this far, you're probably already subscribed to us on something or like us enough to be. If you're not, please subscribe, first of all. If you're listening, subscribe. If you're watching, like and subscribe.
Share,
And
please.
comment. And I just want to put a little bit extra emphasis on every so many of these episodes to just please like and comment. Like, those are just as important, or if not more important than the subscribing. Don't be lazy. You have to take your little mouse and you have to go like this and then click a button. So please do it. Show some love. We'll be back next week.
Bye.